All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So tonight we're going to, we try to every week highlight one of our leaders who has promoted and let them share their tip. And so tonight we're going to hear from Elizabeth Weaver, and her sister Rebecca Knoll is going to introduce her. I'm so excited to hear from you, Elizabeth. And then we are going to have Emily and Kelsey and Stacy all kind of share a little bit about their story and how this industry has actually changed their lives. They have had massive success in this industry. They literally have had teams that have sold millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so they're going to share a little bit about their passion, and then we're going to open up the floor for all of you guys to just ask questions. If you've ever had a desire to ask questions to people who have gone before you and been successful, this is your chance to do that. So I'm going to encourage you guys to write your list of questions down, and we'll open up the floor for that. And also, those of you guys that are on the call that have also been in this industry for a while, once we open it up for questions, y'all feel free to chime in with your experience as well, because I know we have a lot of you that have had that kind of experience and have a wealth of wisdom to share as well. So Rebecca, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you want to introduce Elizabeth, and we're excited to hear from you, Elizabeth.
All right, well, I'm excited about tonight. If you would have told me 6.5 years ago that I would ever in a million years be introducing my sister on any sales call whatsoever, much less a leader call to share a tip, I would have absolutely told you that you didn't know my sister. So this is one of those times where I am super proud to be able to introduce her to you. I'm still catching up with the fact that we're doing this together. It's been just incredibly amazing to be kind of on this green adventure at the same time. And Elizabeth doesn't have any sales experience whatsoever. When she joined this, I'll be the first to admit I had zero expectations. I figured, hey, maybe she'll sell a bottle or two to a friend. You know, she can have fun. This is kind of cute. We can do this together, you know. But she has totally rocked it and promoted to executive last month and is only 1,300 away from 5K as we speak. So like probably this will be her month for 5K. So I'm super excited for her to be able to share. She has her own unique way of doing things, and it is brilliant. And so I can't wait for you guys to hear some of her tips. So welcome, Elizabeth, and I'm excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much. I'm also excited to share here for a minute tonight. And that was a great intro, because that would be how I would introduce myself. I am so not a salesperson, and everybody that knows me would know that. And so this has kind of blown me away. I think I love people a lot, and I have a lot of friends, and I'm passionate about people living well. And so this has just surprised me with what a perfect fit it's been for me to have fun in business while I'm helping people and while I'm loving people well. So when I talk to prospective affiliates, I feel like I'm talking to 4 months ago myself. And they say, I'm just so afraid it won't work for me. And they say, I'm just so afraid that my friends don't want to buy me because I'm not a salesperson. And all of the fear and insecurity that I felt 4 months ago, I hear coming out of them, and they're looking at me like, oh, but you're different because you're good at this. And I'm like, no, I was not good at this 4 months ago. And so I'm sure many of you can identify with that in the whole process of growth, which has been super exciting. As far as a tip from me, I would just say that learning to find what works for you is key, because for me to succeed at this, it has to fit me. And so not feeling like someone else's method is the only right way that will work, but to explore a little bit and to tune into the way that God made me and how that works for me. So that to me means groups. I'm a part of so many groups, and I'm always pursuing more groups to join. So I join neighborhood groups, I join fitness groups, I join church study groups, homeschool groups. I join all the groups. I meet all the people. I'm very free to talk about what I do. And without fail, when I tell them what I do, they say, oh, we need to talk. So not only does that give me a springboard to sell CBD, but I go home with 10 new friends that I can friend on Facebook, and it's not weird because we just talked. And so that has worked great for me, and it's super satisfying to me to get to be very personal, very relational. And the other thing has been just follow up. So a lot of people that I've sold a one bottle to directly, I talk to them a week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in. I feel like I'm like a little nurse or something. And I just find out where they're at, what they're doing, and then they're successful. And so then they go order a 4-pack. And that's just kind of been the pattern for me. Sell a bottle to someone around me, they succeed, they go buy a 4-pack. And so that's just been great. And I'm still watching that roll out. One more thing really fast is I want to talk about getting past the wall for anyone who is struggling in that first 1,000 BV. It just feels like you work so hard for the first 1,000. And I'm also a runner, so I understand the wall that comes in running, and you just have to push past it. And on the other side, it's fun. So I was amused as I looked over my journal. January 17, I had an entry that said, I just don't know if this CBD thing is going to make me any money. I just feel like I'm working hard for little results. And I don't want to admit this to myself, but I'm just not sure that it's going to work for me. And, a month later, I was at 3K. And this month, I'm very sure, will be 5K. And so just the realization of the struggle to get past that wall and to just be persistent, keep working, and success may be a lot closer than it feels when you're in that point of struggle. It's almost like transition before birth, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Elizabeth, that was amazing. And I think that there are a lot of people that can identify with exactly what you're saying. I'm not a salesperson, and I will tell you that some of the best leaders in this industry that I have met are not salespeople. They are just amazing at building relationships and loving on people. And I think you are a perfect example of that. And it just makes my heart so happy to hear that. And I will also say there is something to be said for the compounded effect. Like, yes, at the very beginning, you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm just pulling teeth. But if you press in and you commit to personal growth and learning what works for you, which is exactly what you've done, it compounds. The results just compound. But I would agree that first 1,000 is hard. So thank you so much for sharing. That was amazing. And congratulations on your success. And I know that we are going to see you fly up the ranks. So super excited to cheer you on along the way. Okay, Kelsey, Emily, and Stacy, we're going to turn it over to you guys. I know you have just so much passion and heart for people, and that is one of the big reasons for your success. I totally believe that. And I would love to hear from you all. And I know everyone else is excited to hear about your journey, how you ended up in this industry, and how the impact it made for your life. So I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I loved what you said. It really resonated with me. And if you're wondering why the three of us are on a couch together on a Monday night, we flew in to Atlanta, and Stacy's been a really gracious host for the Not Your Average Influencers tour that our upline has been having. So we did that on Saturday night, and Roslyn, who I saw on here, and Jennifer have been at the house with us too, but they're just not here for this part. So it's been really good. So fun. Growing and learning together this weekend, and it's fun that we get to be on the Zoom together tonight. Yeah. So we're just going to share a little bit about our stories, what this industry has done for us, a few of our tips of, because all of us have gotten to the top of a compensation plan within another company. And so we often get the question, well, how did you do it? How did you get to the top? Well, what would you say? And there's different things there's a few things that remain the same, and there's some really differences among us as well. So we're just going to share some tips that we have. So network marketing found me at a place just like Elizabeth, where I really thought I would never, ever, ever, ever do it. I'd met every bad salesman that there possibly were. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Don't ask me. I'm not going to come to your party. I'm not even going to click. Well, I would do a maybe. I was a Minnesota passive aggressive. I didn't want to say no because I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but I wasn't going to come. And I definitely wasn't going to join. And this industry, though, found our family at a time where we desperately needed it, where we were working 6 jobs between the 2 of us. We had big dreams for our family, but the reality was that we were drowning in debt, medical debt. We had bought a house at the wrong time, and the housing market crashed, and we just couldn't keep up. And we had recently lost our house. We'd moved in with my parents and just kind of felt desperate, like how are we going to get ahead? So well, when I joined my last company, I didn't have the hope to know that it was something. I really wasn't in a place where I could see that this was going to be big, but I thought maybe it could be something, even if it just loosened it enough where I could go on a date with my husband without feeling bad that it was taking from money that should go to bills. That was going to be enough. But really quickly, I learned that it's not about being a good salesperson, because you don't want to be a salesperson. You just want to love people well and share something that you're passionate about and that has affected your life. So for me, that was really where the sweet spot was just loving people and seeing the talent in them, or seeing the light in them and seeing that they could do this too, and they may need either the hope of the product or the hope of the industry, and then planting those seeds that was possible for them as well. So one of the things that I would say to one of my tips would be that you don't have to be like everybody else. I struggled with this for a long time. I'm an introvert, guys, still, before we do like a Zoom, before I do a live video. I told them, like,
I still don't believe that.
I'm supposed to be on a live tomorrow night, and I'm kind of hoping that our plane gets canceled, or like I can't make it home, so I don't have to be on that. Like, I panic.
I didn't say crash.
I know, me too. I didn't say crash.
I'll be on that plane.
Let's
just get delayed.
They heard me talking earlier that before I spoke for the first time, I called my husband at midnight. It was for a group of 1,000 people in Orlando. And I not only was mad at Emily for nominating me, I thought maybe she just wanted me to fail, and that's why she nominated me to speak. I wouldn't talk to her. I called my husband and told him that maybe I'd run out in front of some cars or get sick or do whatever I could, because really I've had a big, big fear of public speaking. So
she's so good.
I just always thought that I had to be something else when I spoke. That was a part of the issue for a long time. The first time I got up, I got on heels, and I don't wear heels, guys. And I was trying to be what I thought a leader had to be, or what I thought a salesperson had to be. And you don't need to be that. You need to be you, because people can tell when you're not being authentically you and when you're trying to be somebody else. So that's my encouragement to you. Even when you're making posts on Facebook, think, is this something I would write, or did I just take this from somebody else and think that it sounded good? Like, share your heart, share your authentic story, because that's what people want. We're in a time where there's just a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of, kind of we see the best of the best, like the I don't want to say the fake story, but we don't see the behind the scenes, and people want to hear your authentic story. They want to know your heart, and that's what they're going to connect with. So be yourself. Don't feel like you need to be me or another leader or a sideline. Be you. Of this product. What hope do you have? Even if you haven't found success yet, what hope do you have? Use that. Use the hope that you have and spread that to people. Plant that seed with your community. And that's really going to get you far. That's what got me to the top. And let every little success light you up. I'm sort of stubbornly optimistic. Like, I'll get one sale.
Yes, you are.
I get one sale, and then I'm like, great, I'm going to be at the top of the leaderboard. Or, okay, great, I got to number 16. How do I get to number 15? That one, so it's probably going to happen like 3 more times. And if you can get your brain trained to do that, it just takes some practice of using your successes as a springboard to further success, because mindset really is important. So let the little successes, let one sale lead to 3 sales, let one recruit lead to a team, just little steps along the way. So that's my story and tips. And what about you, Em?
You know, we have similar stories as far as the industry goes. When network marketing found me, it was 10 years ago, and I was introduced to a dream of being able to say yes to your family all the time, and a dream of being able to give more than you receive. And I lit up about that, but it felt completely out of reach permanently. So when I was introduced to this last company that we were a part of, I kind of grabbed onto that dream again, and my family needed it. My husband had been laid off, and he was working in landscaping in Texas in the middle of the summer, 15, 16-hour days out in 100-degree heat, and we were borrowing to pay Paul, and we were not okay. We were just not okay. And the why of why you do this business, the things that you're here for, they need to be important, because getting our family free of debt, free of being a slave to our calendar, being a slave to an hourly job that he was totally willing to do because it was necessary, but it didn't feed his soul. It didn't allow him options. That was something that I took inside my soul, and I ran really, really hard with that. And a lot of times when people ask you, if I could just pick your brain, what would your top tips be? Always, always, my number one tip is, where is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you connected to this product? What about it lights you up? What about freedom for your family? I mean, why are you here? Do you just need to make a little bit of money? Is it to cover some small bills? That's a huge why. That's amazing, and that's important. It doesn't matter the size on a scale. Every why that's important to you is the strength that you need to latch onto. But I think a lot of times we just don't let ourselves fully grab that thing because we get scared. We get kind of unwilling to admit the depth of what we're really hoping for. And so we don't ever, I don't know how to say it, like you don't ever really allow yourself to jump in. Kind of always you have a picture in the back of your mind, like if I were really to devote myself to this, if I really could do this the way that I think that I could, if I really gave it the time, if I really got serious, if I really followed up with all those leads, if I really had those conversations, I think I could probably be amazing. But we don't. We hold ourselves back. I think for me, because initially I was afraid that if I really dove in and gave it all of my heart and all of my effort, and I didn't achieve what I hoped for, that maybe that was a statement about whether or not I was good enough. Maybe it was a statement of my value or my identity. And that's been a spiritual journey for me. But as you're digging in, understand that you have a responsibility to yourself to build exactly the way that you know that you can. If you've got this thing inside your heart that says, man, I know that I could do this. If I really did what I thought that I could do, then this would be a game changer. Girlfriend, boyfriend, do it. Just do it. That Nike slogan, we were talking about brands a couple of weeks ago, and I have a lot of Nike. I have a lot of Nike in my closet, and I never really registered it before Kelsey brought up that slogan, just do it.
I was saying that I kind of wanted some Adidas gear because it kind of looks like a hemp leaf, and I thought that might be cool. And some other people were wearing it in the industry, and my husband was like, but why? You don't actually like Adidas, but you know what I hear you say a lot? Well, just do it. He's like, you need to be a Nike. The Nike slogan fits you a little more. Just do it.
Yep. And that's where kind of my rallying cry, because everybody gets knocked down. Everybody has a rough month. You have something personal happen in your household. We had a really rough month just last month in our family, and you get knocked down. Things happen, and they're real and they're valid, and you have to process them. But at some point, you have to step out of the processing of that and step back into what you're running for, because it's always going to be something. There's always an obstacle that wants to get in the way. It doesn't matter if it is a big crazy schedule, if it is an event that's coming up, there is always a reason not to. You have to have a reason to. and let that be bigger than the reason not to. So I would just encourage you, get your why in front of you and then get teachable. You do not have to know everything. You do not have to understand all of the different terminologies of the endocannabinoid system and the different CB1 and CB2 receptors. And we feel like we need to become PhDs in this in order to have any kind of credibility in our conversation. And you don't. Guess what is your favorite best friend response? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but let's find out. I don't know, but I know where to find out. I don't know, but let's Google it.
Sometimes that's the most duplicatable thing you can do.
Yes.
Because if I'm talking to somebody and thinking about joining their business and they have this whole big scientific thing, probably what I'm going to think is, well, I could never do that.
Do you have to memorize that, or is there a class, or like?
So if you can sometimes saying, I don't know, but I can look it up, or I'm not sure, but if you Google this, like that, I don't know, but here's a video.
Yeah.
That's going to lead to possibly more success than you know.
Yep. I respond to a lot of questions with a link. That's a great question. I Googled it and here's what I got. And I had to learn that again when we came to this business. I was a little out of practice because I used to know everything in my old business. So I was asking Kelsey, oh, what about this? And she'd say, that's a great question. Have you check that out? Have you looked for an answer? I was like, you are right. Sorry. 1 second.
And that's really hard for me to do, guys, because if I could answer everything for everyone, I would. So I'm working on it. But I know the best tool that I can give my team is to say, hey, there's an answer for that, and you are empowered, and you can go do that.
Yep. So get teachable, get coachable, get comfortable with not knowing, and get comfortable with hunting down your own answers. Get comfortable with that search bar. That search bar is your friend, and it is so much faster for you to just type something into the search bar really quick, see what information you can find, than messaging somebody and you need to wait for them to respond.
What did we hear the quote? We went to a training recently, and what did they say asking questions was?
I don't remember what exact
they
quote
said
is.
It was procrastination. And that I was like, that's not true. And they said sometimes we ask questions because we know if we get the answer ourselves and go find it, then we have to go do the thing.
Yep.
So sometimes it's easier to ask somebody and then have to wait. And that kind of hurt my heart a little bit, but I've been thinking about it for a while. So anyways,
I think I wrote that down and I hadn't thought about it since, but it's really true. Yeah. I think sometimes we have defense mechanisms when we're feeling a little bit intimidated and we get a little bit of bravery, and our little bit of bravery is to ask that question and then defer the action for a little bit longer. Just going to kind of wait just a little bit more. So yeah, I think those would be some of my top tips. How about this, you, Miss Stacy, this rock star right here?
Yes, she is.
Tell us your story.
So a lot like them, I was anti-direct sales. I never wanted to be the consultant. I never wanted to be the hostess. I always supported friends, and that was like my thing. So if a new friend joined a company, I'm not going to do a party or join, but I will buy something to support you. And I would buy just to get out of hosting or joining. Like there's no way, that's not me. Well, I tried my previous company's product and I fell in love, and I was looking for something fun to do. And I told my husband, I am not going to have a single party and I'm not going to recruit anybody. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to have fun. And I did not know that would turn into a $17 million business. And I was top recruiter one year. Like, it just kind of happened. Yeah. So my tip for recruiting is I have found that there's no secret recipe. There's no I can tell you all my favorite tips and all my stuff, but until you get in there and kind of figure it out yourself and get those recruits under your belt, that's the only way that you're going to learn it. And what I found is that it takes about 6 to 8 recruits to get that aha moment, that moment of like, oh, those are the words I said. That's how I do it. I can totally do this. And that I found was eye-opening to me. And it was kind of when I came to this company too,
it was kind of the same thing where I didn't know what I was doing when I joined. I just jumped in. I mean, I knew nothing. I never even tried CBD. But when I got those first recruits under my belt, I'm like, okay, like this is new. This is, and I can do it. So if you've only had a couple recruits and you're struggling, it's so hard at the beginning to get that ball rolling for recruits. So if you're like, oh, I only have one and I've been doing this for a couple of months, like just keep going and trying to find your way of recruiting. And I promise you, it's going to stick and it's going to be more authentic to you than to me say, okay, this is what you tell your people. You know, you have to kind of find your way with it, and you're going to have to, fail and get no. And, you know, the hardest part is getting those first few recruits under your belt. And then it just clicks. I used, my little story earlier when I learned pull-ups on the pull-up rig, the kipping pull-ups. It's, you know, if you all know CrossFit, like you have to move your body in a force to get your chin over bar. Well, when I did that, I struggled with it and fought and couldn't get it. And when I did it and I knew that force and that kip, and I was like, aha, that's what I've been doing wrong. And it just really, and it clicked. And recruiting is the exact same thing. It just clicks. And just don't get discouraged because it's so hard to get it rolling. But once you go, you can just keep going, you know, and just don't get discouraged with it. It's a learned skill. Some people it does come natural with, but it's learned for sure.
But I love that it is a skill. I think building your team is a skill that you can develop. Anybody who is willing to be teachable, willing to be coachable, take feedback, look, sometimes it's a little tweak in your language or a little tweak in your approach. But if you're willing to take that position of a learner, these are absolutely skills that you can learn.
It's definitely learned. And the problem is people give up before they learn that skill. If they get discouraged, oh, I've asked 10 people and no one's joined me. Well, go ask another 50 and learn that skill. You know, I think it's definitely.
I think that's so true. And I hear a lot of, I get a lot of no's. Well, so do we. Like,
Oh yeah.
All the time.
10x. I mean, we're just willing to keep asking again and again and again and getting it in front of more people. Usually, almost any problem can be solved by you need to get in front of more people. You need to expand your community, like Elizabeth was talking about. And you need to just keep showing up, because so often too, and then we'll maybe get a couple new team members and then have a rough patch, but it's kind of like something that you need to stay. It gets a little rusty if you're not asking, if you're not continuing to use that language. And so you kind of have to get back into the habit of it. So showing up for your business, even if, and that means different things for all of us, because I know some of us on the team are working, you know, part-time to pay a bill, and some are working for part-time income, and some for full-time income, and some to build an empire. But there's still such power in consistency and showing up and staying fresh and sharp.
Recruiting's hard, guys. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But once you get that system that works for you, like what Kelsey does is going to be different than me. That's why, like, I can't tell Kelsey, oh, this is what you're going to tell your people. It's not genuine, you know, so you have to learn it yourself and find what works for you that you're comfortable with. But,
and I would say too, it starts off, I think recruiting is the biggest hurdle for most everybody. Initially at the beginning. But while it starts off hard, it's always going to be intentional, and it's always going to be an effort that you're putting forth, but I feel like it does get easier.
It kind of becomes a momentum.
Like
a snowball rolling downhill all the time.
You know, you gain confidence. I think that's what happens. You're so scared, like at the beginning, like you're like, oh, I can't have anybody on my team. I don't know this stuff. And how am I going to get them? They're going to tell me no. Now I'm like, tell me no. It'll make me go try to find a yes. Like, it's not going to.
One thing that I would just drop into the conversation, we see so often people saying, well, I'm just not ready to build my team yet because I don't know enough yet. I don't have enough experience. I'm not ready to start adding to my team. And you guys, that is a huge mistake. It's okay. And it's super normal to think that, but it's a huge mistake, because it's not up to you to personally train and empower everybody just from your knowledge. You have a team. We work as a team on purpose. There's resources in the team page on purpose. It isn't about building up your personal reservoir of being the be all end all for your people.
We'll never be that.
No.
We learn new things every day.
Every day. I remember yesterday I was like, what? I've been saying that wrong the whole time. You know, like whatever. Like,
but you have to be willing to be wrong sometimes. You have to, and that's what develops you. It develops your personal development. It develops your character, and it develops you into a leader. I feel like just the longer you do it, you know.
And yes, Rebecca, addicting. Yes. Recruiting is very addicting.
Once you see the way that, because it can, like Elizabeth said, it can feel challenging to get past that first 1,000, but then after that, you kind of have a team behind you, and you don't feel so alone pushing towards that next goal. So it's really worth it to flex this muscle, and build a team.
We miss you, Rachel.
We
wish you were here.
But yeah, it's
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's really helpful. Sometimes it can be just grabbing on to the way somebody else says something. While you don't have to be like anybody else, you can learn from everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
So I love to listen to how these two talk about things. What are the phrases that you use? How do you present a director pack? How do you present an executive pack? These are rock stars in selling both of those options. So just listening, I like to just say, hey, you want to come over this afternoon and just work in the living room? That'd be great. And the whole time I'm just like, what is she saying? How is she answering that question?
Those of you on my team
that's
know
really
that I
good.
use the little voice recorder button a lot. So
I sit right next to her and I listen the whole time. Like, what are you saying?
And sometimes, just like tonight, I sent one to somebody asking about the team, and I was like, well, that one felt like I botched it. You know, like sometimes it feels really natural, and sometimes I'm like, well, that took 6 messages to say what I wanted to say in one. It's just you just play and you learn. Yeah.
So I wanted to say this. Obviously, you guys were at the top of my previous company, and I have looked up at you guys and admired you and wanted to learn from you and have learned from you for over the years. And it was an aha moment for me to be working more intentionally with you guys and realizing, like, oh, just because, you know, they've led teams with millions and millions under them doesn't mean that they don't still have the same insecurities that I have, that they don't still say, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do next? And to me, that was like, oh yeah, we're all learning. And it's all a process. And we actually really bring value to each other as we're willing to share our wisdom. And I love that. And I love that our team values that and that we do that intentionally. But anyways, I just think that's amazing. And every bit of your advice that you shared, it's like just light bulbs and mind blowing at the same time. Like, it's so simple, but so true. So thank you guys for sharing that. Do we want to open it up for questions?
Absolutely. Yeah. If anybody has any questions about anything business related, anything we just said, we're here and there's other leaders here and people with direct sales experience. Anybody can come in and answer a question. It doesn't have to be.
And Rachel, I know you got in a little bit late. Rachel also made it to the top of her company. And so, Rachel, if you want to jump in as questions are asked and bring value, and any of the other leaders too that have loved this industry, if you guys want to share as questions come up. But I figured I would kick it off with my own question. So are y'all ready for this one? I'm making sure that as you guys come in, if you can mute yourselves, just to cut down the background noise. Okay. So I have a question for you guys. One of the things that I learned being in this industry is that there is something called the cycle of sales, and very much, you know, you get pumped up and then you face rejection or a no, and then you kind of get into this cycle where you're like avoiding your business, and then something re-energizes you and you recommit and you get excited again, and you know, you can go through this cycle. I really feel like one of the things that basically brings success to the table is if you are willing to recommit and go through that cycle over and over. When you guys get in that cycle of discouragement or creative avoidance, what kind of specific things do you do to get yourself out of it?
For me, it's staying close to the fire, like going to events like this weekend, or going to, you know, the big Hempworks event, or just calling a friend who I can see is not in the same cycle that I'm in. They're in a better place. They are killing it. And just talking, you know, it doesn't even have to be like, light me up. No, it's just like, hey, tell me what you're excited about. Like, tell me what's going on in your world.
Right.
because if the more you talk to people who are doing the same things that you're doing, and those people are people who are committed to being positive and not, because it's also really easy to call somebody and get them on your train of, "Oof, I'm
Sorrow.
struggling."
Not working.
But for me, it's just I have to get by people who are close to the fire themselves and are in a good place. That really does it for me.
Yeah, for me, I think there's a practicality that I try to keep in mind, that there is a cycle to this, and validating that cycle and being able to be self-aware enough to identify, okay, this happened, I got out of my rhythm, I got knocked down, this is where I'm at in the cycle, this is what I need to do to move forward. Having the ability to identify that and then actively choose. Bathing is something that we do consistently, because after you take a shower and you're all fresh and clean, you go and you live your life, and that kind of wears off and you get stuff on you and you accumulate things. You get a little stinky and you need to go and take another shower and get cleaned up again. And I think that the emotional cycle of sales is really, really similar. So I keep books. I'm a huge reader. I don't finish every book that I start.
By every, she means any.
Me too.
Yes, I do.
I don't finish any books.
I have finished more in other seasons of life, but I start a whole lot of books and I get something great out of it, and then I run forward and it's great. But also having relationships that I can be accountable to, where I can be honest and vulnerable about how I'm feeling, but then they also have the freedom to say, okay, well, totally see where you're at. Now you're kind of flirting with crossing the line here into self-perpetuating this, instead of just identifying it and now moving forward. What do you know that you need to do to move forward? Because I think a lot of times we know what we need to do. We're just hoping someone will tell us that we don't have to. At least that's the truth for me, is I'll talk to someone and really hope that they'll give me a good excuse to not have to do what I know it's going to take to get moving again. It's always conversations. It's always following up. It's always introducing the business to more people and feeding yourself in whatever order that works for you. I really appreciate having people who are willing to kind of give you a little kick in the butt. But you also have to be able to kick yourself in the butt too, because you can't always be going to somebody else to say, light me up, breathe into me, breathe life into me. Number one, you don't actually need that, because you have a lot more inside of you than you believe that you do. And number two, if you turn other people into your breath of life, eventually you're not going to be able to continue getting that from them, because we're human people, and you'll find yourself not down for other reasons. That's my very long sermon. Please go ahead.
I find when I get into that slump, I to events always. There's been times where I'm like, I just got to get myself to January, because January we would have like a retreat, and it would be a couple months out. I'm like, I just got to make it to January. And so I knew that would put fire in me. But one thing that I love to do that works for me is I go do customer follow-up. There's something about hearing back from my customers that gives me purpose. And even though I kick and scream going into my office to do it, I make a goal. Like, I have to talk to 5 people today. Like, Stacy, you need to talk to 5 people today. And I reach out to them. And when you get a positive feedback that you've changed their life, that they love this stuff, it gets you going again. Also talking to a team member that, is in a good place, that is on fire and excited. And, I can name so many of my team members right now that if I ever get in that place, I'll just go talk to them like, hey, what's going on? Tell me about your business. And just hearing their enthusiasm would get me back on the train.
Yeah.
I
think you find what you look for.
Yeah.
So often, if you're looking for things to get excited about, you're going to find them. But if you're looking for reasons to stay in a downturn in your cycle, you're going to find those too. So there's an intentionality in choosing where you want to go. If you're going to aim your ship in that direction, you're going to find a lot of wind under your sails.
I think you need to also recognize the cycle of sales. Like, for us, it's easy because we've been in the business for a while. We know it. For someone that's newer, that may not come so natural. Like, they may like, oh, their business is out of control and it's not working, and they don't understand that cycle. So you can't recognize, like, okay, I need to go do something to get out of this and to get back, clean.
Yeah.
I need to take my shower.
You need to take a shower.
Yeah. So that's important too.
Think about if you need to clean your house, and you don't feel like cleaning your house, you're not going to start by mopping the floor. I mean, none of us are going to start with the biggest job. We might start with picking up the trash or gathering up the dirty dishes. But the point is we get started, and as we find different sections of the house getting clean, we will eventually get to the floor and we'll be motivated to mop the floor, you know? So I think it's the same way in business. Do something. You know, John Maxwell says it's much easier to act your way into feeling than it is to feel your way into acting. You're not going to feel like doing it a lot of times, but if you just start doing a little bit, the feelings are going to come and you're going to get motivated in the doing.
Yeah, I think it's a principle of business that if you don't have the experience to teach you, you don't necessarily know. It's something that you learn along the way, but that feelings follow action. Always, not the other way around. And you cannot have a business just led on your feelings, or you're not going to have much of a business at all.
I saw a question from Kathy. She said, I used to think it was more of an advantage to have people set up their own account to order when they want product. But now I'm thinking I need some on hand because they say they want product, but they don't follow through. Thoughts? I think that's a great thought. So obviously I'm with you where a lot of the time I want people to have their own accounts because and you may be wondering why, but if they have their own account, we know that for every 4 enrollments, you get a global bonus pool share. And that's up to, it's been as high as $27 a share during my time here. So that adds like $6 or $7 per bottle sold. And that's a lot of extra.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're getting, instead of getting 14, 16, or 20, I'll get 26 instead, which is fantastic. So one thing that I would recommend, we also have a lot of local people who just like to pick it up because when they want it, they want it. They don't know they want it. Right. They're thinking about it. And then do you have some today and when can we meet? And so I like to have it on hand, but one thing you can do if you want to still get those enrollments is you can set up an account for them and ship the replacement back to you. So you sell it, you give it to them, and then you just set them up an account, and you can do that through either taking their credit card number for them or through credit wallet, and just ship it back.
Another good thing of why they want an account is because the volume will build under them. And then that's a recruiting tool. So then you can contact them and say, hey, did you know that you can become an affiliate for $20?
I think that there's some really easy language choices too that you can use with someone in that conversation, where you as the affiliate, you are the director of this exchange and you have the confidence and the ability to say, I like to use the phrase, let's do this. Or let's try this. So they want product immediately and I'll say, yes, perfect. Okay, let's do this. And then we're going to set up a customer account for you and walk them through that process. I think a lot of times we kind of depend on the customer to lead and they don't have any information to know what avenue is necessarily most beneficial for them or for you. So don't be afraid to take the lead in that exchange.
Hi guys, I want to address Sandy's question about posting on Facebook because I'm been kind of teaching my team this system that I am not getting to do every day, but it's my goal to get to this system. But this is what I'm, passing on to my team is I try to post on Facebook 3 times a day. My first post, it doesn't matter if it's, what time of day you do it or anything like that, but I try to focus on 3 posts a day. One of them is some type of interaction post where I either ask a question that's going to gain a lot of comments. The second thing I post about is, oh my God, I just did a live on Facebook and I took my CBD oil. I'm so relaxed right now that I'm just I feel like I can melt into my desk right now. So I'm sorry that I'm not like sharp and focused. But it's I probably have it in my notes somewhere. It's an interaction post, a post about business one way or another. You might see some days I'll post something that's very like straightforward about my business, like contact me today to get a spot in my tree to join my team. Other times it may be something kind of like subliminal messages where like I'll take a picture with the oil in the background, or I'll wear a shirt that says, you know, my Cannabis shirt or something like that. I find a way at least one time every day to throw something CBD or business related on my Facebook page. And I can't believe I can't remember all 3 of the things. I shouldn't have even talked. I should just be sitting here listening. Tonight I'm not on myself today. Okay, no, I found it. An engagement post, a business post regarding our business or CBD, and then some kind of personal post, whether that be, you know, a positive quote or like a cute little graphic, something about my family, something about one of my kids. But that's kind of like what I've been trying to structure my posts about every day, is posting 3 times on my personal page. And then the other challenge that I threw out to a couple of my girls, and this kind of answers Joy a little bit as well about how to find a purposeful flow, is I've been challenging a couple of my girls who kind of felt like they ran out of their warm market to break into cold market, about joining new groups. This is kind of, we've gotten some other leaders who've given trainings recently about this, so it's totally like not my idea or anything like that, but I kind of took bits and pieces from other people. And the challenge was to think of 3 passions or hobbies that you have, join a new group for each one of those, so 3 new groups, and then try to comment on 5 posts a day in each of those groups and make a post in each of those groups. Because what that's going to do is that's going to put you in front of hundreds to thousands of new people whose paths you would have never crossed otherwise. And when you go into a new group and you either make 1 new post every day or comment on 5 of somebody else's posts every day, is your name becomes familiar to people, and they kind of have this trust with you because they see you interacting in a group every day. They almost start to feel like they have a relationship with you even though you've never spoken to them. And just breaking into your cold market that way has worked really well for a lot of girls on my team. And that's reverts back to posting on your page at least those 3 times a day with those 3 different subjects, is that if you are in a new group and somebody, you know, wants to check you out and they go on your profile, they're seeing content posted daily that like makes you interesting, and you're giving value to your audience. And those are the kind of interactions people want to have on Facebook, along with the Facebook algorithms noticing that you are interacting in new groups, being consistent on your page every day, and it's just going to make you more visible to a whole lot more people.
I love that, Rach, and I love the idea of just being intentional with what you're posting. So often, if I don't think about it ahead of time, I'm going to struggle, or I'm going to miss a day of posting. Or so for me, I follow the 10-4-1, and I've got that broken down in a few places, and I'll post that again in our team page too. But Rach, I love yours, and I'm glad you spoke up, even though you're feeling melty and relaxed. You look adorable, by the way. Side note.
I want to mention about Facebook as well. Look for creative ways to put the words hemp, CBD, anything like that on your Facebook timeline that has absolutely nothing to do with your business. I get the most amazing responses from the funny things. You know, just information about how much paper an acre of hemp can make, for example, has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing, but it keeps people thinking about that, oh yeah, that's right, she does that CBD thing. It's not threatening, it's not salesy, it's information. So if you look for ways to inspire people, you can be consistent on Facebook without having people unfollow you because, yeah, she's selling her thing again, you know, so none of us want to be that girl, but there are ways around it and still stick within hemp. I mean, people remember, they make the connections. I don't have to do it.
That's so good. Courtney had a great question. I'd love to hear tips on what to do with hot leads that grew cold, how to rekindle that interest and close that sale. I'm going to toss that one to you.
Oh, God, she's a lucky one.
Because I had a response and now I can't think of it once I started talking.
I know, I completely.
Unless you have one on the top of your head.
I give it a little bit of time between.
I want that tip.
I'll always check back in. I don't think there's any magic tip, and I'm not sure. I may have to think on this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'll let them grow cold for a while, but I will check back in and like, hey, I saw either you can lead back in with the product. I like to lead back in with, hey, I saw this testimony. I know it's something that you, your mom, your dog, your brother struggle with, and you have been thinking about it or seeing results on. And this is such a powerful story, and I just think your story is so powerful. And would it would just be a dream to work with you, because I know the hope that your story could inspire. So I think you can kind of bring it around that way, or just keep planting seeds. You know, I've had friends who have like chiropractic businesses or salons, or, you know, we'll be talking and I'm not pushing the business in their face, but I'll say, man, I just keep thinking about like what a great opportunity you have with your other business. Right. Like to incorporate that. Like, I wish I had something like that. I think that could be amazing for you. I know now might not be the time. But I just think there's something that could be there.
I remembered what I was going to say. Friend lists. Facebook friend lists are your friend. If you have never created Facebook friend lists before, and I know, Courtney, you have, but for the rest of you who are kind of listening to this, it is amazing. You can create a list of just your leads, just the people who have expressed interest, who haven't done anything with that. Stay in front of those people. Don't, you know, make all of your conversation with them just about product or the opportunity. Stay in front of them, comment on their pictures, continue to build relationship. A lot of times people just forget, or it was something they were really thinking about that weekend, and then they got really busy and they haven't thought about it for a while yet, and they're not sure how to open that conversation back up. But if you're the one who's continually in their space, commenting on their pictures, staying in front of them, that often gives other avenues for conversations to begin that aren't necessarily just about product, which always builds the conversation that ends up being about product.
And sometimes people just need to see that you're going to stick with this and that it's still profitable for you. I think back in my prior business, my very first person who hosted the class for me joined me 4 years later. At that point, other people have gone out of business, right? But she's been watching for 4 years, and it seems like you're still doing well. It seems like there's still interest in this. So it can take a long time from that seed being planted to it being harvested. It's just, are you willing to keep showing up for your business? I just saw statistics on, and I'm going to post this too, I've really been wanting to. It's like year 1 is your learning year. Year 2, you start to get a little bit of profit. Year 3, you can look at replacing a full-time income if you want to. Year 5 is when you really start to feel comfortable. And year 7 is when you can really start to build an empire or something really significant. So we really sometimes think that it doesn't take that long, because maybe we've seen somebody else. For me, it was a lot faster, but that's not really industry standard. And it's your friends are watching to see if you're going to lay this down. I've been doing a Word of Mouth Wednesday post on my page, and about half of the people I've gone to go shout out, I've gone to realize they don't even have a website anymore. Your friends want to know that they can depend on you and that you're not going to quit in a few months based on your feelings, and they're not going to be able to get help with their product. So anyways, that kind of diverted there, but some people are just watching and they need to watch for a little while.
Well, to build off of that, that's again where the consistency of posting every day comes into play, because, for example, I was just busy this weekend and I really wasn't on and I really wasn't posting, and I've had a lot of traction since I started with people asking either about the business or the product pretty much on a daily basis. And a lot of times my follow-up stinks because I'm busy. And I didn't really post a lot this particular weekend, and I started posting today, and I had like 7 messages randomly today from people saying, oh, I totally forgot I was going to go check out your website. What's your link again? Just because they see me consistently posting. And when a few days goes by that you don't post, like Kelsey said, there's times that I have friends that I know are doing businesses, and if a few days goes by and they're not mentioning somehow, some way about their business, always wonder like, I wonder if they quit, you know? Like, people just automatically assume that you're not doing it if you're not posting about it all the time. And like Rebecca said, I'm not saying make a post every day like, hey guys, don't forget I'm over here, I sell CBD, come buy it from me. Like, that's not the kind of post I'm talking about, but posting something informative about CBD oil, or, you know, one of your customers' testimonies, or just something that people know that you are still doing this. Just that consistency, again, builds that relationship of trust between people, where it might not be the day today they're going to order from you, but 2 days from now when they see you post again, it's going to be that reminder in their head to come back to you to get it.
I think too, there's something really special about what we do with CBD, where often when somebody reaches out to you initially, it's with a reason, and they'll tell you right up front, you know, my son is dealing with this specific issue. A lot of times they'll say the disease names that we're not allowed to say. And that gives you a really easy avenue to be able to revisit and come back without it being attached to closing a sale, without it being attached to a specific sales language, but come back with a testimony from the testimony page and be able to say, hey, I remember when we first talked about this, this was something that was really important to you, and this just popped up today, and immediately you came into my head. And so I don't know where you're at with any of this, but I just wanted you to see it in case you missed it on the page. If you're offering value and you're offering relationship and you're caring about them, you're demonstrating to them that you remember why they were interested and you care enough to make sure that they see this and not just tag them on the page where you're tagging 10 other people and so they just look like one person in a long list of potential sales. That's not a great thing to do. You want to be cultivating those individual conversations with people, because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
We should scroll.
Yep.
I wanted to answer Caitlin's question about TSA. I'm sure that if you read all the rules, you would find something about CBD. I have not bothered doing that, so I just want to speak from experience. I put my CBD oil in my clear bag with all of my toiletries. It's easy for them to see if they want to. It's right there in the bin. I've taken it to the Bahamas, to Europe, to multiple states. Nobody has even blinked an eye or asked me what it was. So, you know, quite honestly, I do it boldly. We don't have anything to hide. The law is on our side, so don't be nervous if you need to travel with it.
Yep. We did the same thing this weekend, and actually that post that we made, this is another, going back to the posts and incorporating it in ways that's not, I'm selling this. I made a post at the airport holding my CBD saying, hey, get this question a lot, just rolled through with it in my clear liquid bag without an issue.
With TSA in the background.
Has anybody ever done this? And everybody was like, oh, I've done that, I'm doing that. And I've had one sale, and I've had 5 other people who've asked for my link from that one post. And I wasn't saying I sell CBD, I wasn't saying hemp works, I wasn't saying contact me. It just, again, was an easy way for me to put it in my real life. Here I am, I'm traveling, I have it, and reminder.
With a little bit of education, which offers value to other people without any strings attached. The people are so accustomed to having to pay or jump through hoops to learn anything from people who sell things, that when you are freely offering that kind of helpful information, people get really thankful for that and want to connect with you more. What questions do you have? How often is too often to check in on people that have expressed interest but haven't taken the leap to purchase yet? Oh, and then Joy, you had a question about friend lists on computer versus phone app. I'm only doing that on my computer.
I don't think you can do it on the phone.
You can. I looked.
Which honestly for me really helps me, because I am trying not to work from my phone when my kids are home, especially. So I'm learning to work again, like I did way back, but just working from my computer, I can comment a lot faster that way too. So it makes me a little bit more Potomac.
No, that wasn't my look. I looked at you because I was like, oh, I only use my phone.
I know, but you're really efficient and productive with your phone. I get lost in a scroll. I get frustrated because I can't just flip back and forth between screens. I'm not super awesome at it. The only thing I like my phone for is emojis and Instagram.
Yes, emojis.
Yeah.
That's another do what works for you. I tried to follow a lot of systems, work from my computer.
For a long time, we tried to do everything the same because we led a team together, and we're really different.
Yeah, that's true.
So how much is too much?
Every day is too much.
Yeah.
Even every week is probably too
No,
much.
yeah, I do about every 2 to 3 weeks. And I find new ways. So like I also, for those people, because you have to stay in front of them. So what I like to do is stay on their Facebook page too and let them see my name a lot. That way when I write them, it's not like, whoa, I haven't heard from you in months. You know, why are you writing me? So I like to follow up every 2 to 3 weeks, and it's always with a testimonial for like if we chatted and they're like, okay, great, I gave them my link. And it's silent, which it's going to be because we're in a faster hurry for them to buy than they are. Like they're not thinking about us. They're not thinking driving to work, oh, I've got to get on Kelsey's page and order.
Right.
Like they're not thinking about us. Like the sooner that you can think that, like they're not thinking about us. So I will follow up with a testimonial like 2 weeks later, like, hey, I thought of you. But during that time, I'm active on their Facebook page. And I actually have it organized in a journal, like who I'm working with. So I know who to go to their page to write.
So you use a paper journal.
Yes.
For follow. Do you do all of your follow up on paper?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. I organize it all, like who has ever talked to me about CBD and where the last bit of communication was that we had, like what date. So that way when I sit down, I say, okay, this happened in January. Whoa, I'm way far behind. I gotta like, and that way it's all there. And testimonial. And then after that, I kind of get stuck to, but I always try to find a genuine way that feels right for that person to follow up again. But it takes 5 to 8 times, guys, to follow up with people before action happens. And I'm telling you, it doesn't happen right away. It doesn't happen a couple times.
Isn't the statistic that like 85% of sales happen on the 12th follow-up? Yeah. It's really, really different to encounter somebody, especially in our industry, who continues to follow up. I try to go back and think about like if we were flip-flopped, if our roles were flip-flopped, what would I feel? What would I prefer? If I were in the customer's shoes, what would feel like breathing down my neck? What would be a message I would like to hear? What is the social media post that would be attractive to me? And if there's a social media post that I read that I go, oh, that's not going to draw me into business, I am not going to post it, even if I see other people posting it. Sometimes you've got to get a little teachable if you're super stuck and nothing is working for you, and maybe there's some growth that you can do in that area. But a lot of times we all know what feels attractive to us as a customer, and that is a really good baseline for how to approach it.
And also, before you follow up, if it's been a little while, go to their timeline and make sure that like they're not going through sickness, death, a dog died, because that looks really bad that you don't, that you don't take time to look at their life and you're like, hey, are you ready to do this? And they're like, on a backpack
you're in the middle
trip
of tragedy, but where's my sale?
So that would be a perfect time to say, hey, I see that your family's going through a lot. Like I'm thinking about you, and you don't need to follow up then, and that will go a lot farther. Cause I've been guilty of that where I've wrote somebody and they're like, oh yeah, we've been dealing with so much sickness. I go to their timeline and their kid has been like in the hospital and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so embarrassing. So yeah, don't do that.
Okay. BV and flushing. Yes. Rach, do you want to address it?
No, I don't know what her question was. She just said, I have a question about BV and flushing. So I don't know exactly where that was going. So Jessica, why don't you jump on and.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I could just ask the question. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So, sorry that I'm like still understanding this, but so when you guys make rank like 5K, 10K, 25K, is that what you have accumulated in that month period? Because we had talked, okay, now I understand. Because we had mentioned something, Stacy, the term flushing and no flushing, and I couldn't really remember what that was referring to. So do you?
Binary.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's binary. So let's say for flushing. So a lot of companies, you have 2 legs and you get paid on the lesser leg, just like ours, but whatever you don't get paid on just flushes away into forever. So if you're not qualified to be paid on binary,
those sales are just gone.
They're just gone. What our company does is, let's say that on Melody's leg that I have with her, there's $5,000, and on mine there's $4,000. I'm going to get paid on the $4,000. And that 1,000 difference is going to go into the bank on my same side with Melody, and it's going to stay there. I had just learned this month is that you don't see the banked amount until after binary is paid the next month. So a lot of times I've had people say, it's not there, you told me it was going to bank, and there's nothing there. But it banks up after binary is paid out.
Yeah, just with the way the system calculates it. So basically it looks at it and says, you created this team, you created these sales, and even if you didn't qualify to get paid on those this month, it's going to hang on to that, so you have the opportunity to get paid on those sales eventually. Does that make more sense?
Yes. So it's my BV, and anybody on my team's BV is also in my group to help me achieve the next level, right?
So the rank is completely, my biggest tip for the 8 ways we're paid is to look at them all completely separate. So that's the only one with the flush. That really helped me when I did that. But for rank, yes, it's you and anybody that you've brought in and that they've brought in going towards the rank.
Yeah.
Per month.
Per month, yep.
Thank you.
Rebecca, I like that about using the word touch points instead of follow up, because it's not always asking for the sale. It's just touching base.
Yeah.
Well, and I think touch points is relationship focused, where follow up is, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy? Are you ready to join? I mean, that's how we tend to think of it. It feels pushy. You know, I just had somebody who her, was it a son or a grandpa? Somebody died in the family. So my touch point to her was just reaching out, you know, like Stacy mentioned, and just saying, I'm so sorry for your loss. I want you to know I'm praying for you and your family. Does that count as follow-up? Absolutely, it counts, because I'm building a relationship with her. Whether she ever buys from me or not in that moment doesn't matter. It's the relationship focus.
If anybody else has a question, we don't want to keep you guys too long. We try to keep it short, but I knew this one would probably go long because it's just open. We're fine to stay on. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question that we may have missed in the comments, please feel free to do so. And there's no such thing as a dumb question or something that you should already know.
I have a quick question. So, you know, as you're growing your team and you are getting them acclimated to the business flow and to the team culture, these new people coming in, we have so many new techniques and business methods that we're using now to help people with. It gets confusing. It gets a little overwhelming. I know when I first started, it's like, okay, go watch the training videos, and it was like, blah, 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 blah. You know, all right, do I do it on this page, or I do the training videos on this page, or on this page, or on this page? And now there's even more pages, and there's more bots, and so it gets a little confusing. What do you guys do when you first start getting people on board? How do you direct them to get started?
It's a great question. Number one, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'll tell you what I say, and then I'm dark because I'm actually driving. But what I do is I keep it super simple and tell people, all you need to know is subscribe to the chatbot, and we will direct you from there. Because literally, I'm adding them to Rockstars, I'm adding them to our team page, and I'm adding them maybe to the testimonial page as well, Real Stories of Hope. If they plug into that and they follow the flow that we give them, the rest of the information will come to them step by step.
Right.
Okay.
And I think something that I say too is you don't need to be going to all of the events. You don't want to be inviting your people to all the events. It is a lot. If you were inviting somebody to the Monday night in Real Stories, the Tuesday night, the Thursday night, the Wednesday night interview, it's too much. And so what works for, and that's another, what works for you? Like which one do you relate to? Do you relate to the Monday nights in Real Stories? invite people to that. I have some people that I will invite to Real Stories. It's kind of a case-by-case basis for me as an affiliate, and other people that I know might connect with whoever's going to talk on the Thursday night. So really it is plugging in, and we do have that Google Calendar now, which is, I think, helpful because you can see who's talking, and Kristen has a calendar for rock stars. You can see what the topics are and who's talking, and that sometimes helps, like, oh, this friend that I've been talking to about the business, she really would learn from Shanna, who's going to be on the Rockstars call on Thursday. Or I have a friend with fibromyalgia, sorry, disease name, pretend that didn't happen, who might like to hear from Rebecca tonight. So it's just customizing it, and I know it's easy to say don't get overwhelmed, but really just look at it. You don't have to be on everything. You don't have to watch every video. If you only have a little bit of time, plug into the bot in the calendar and then pick what works for your week.
Yep, I totally agree. I think that we see all of the options. It's like if you go to a buffet, you see all of the different entrees, all of the different salads, all of the different desserts. You don't get mad that you've got a ton of options. You just got to pick the ones that you want to use and then just give those to the people that you want to give those to. And I think that it's just important to look at it as there's a ton of options, not I have to eat and eat and eat and try everything and stuff myself till I'm completely full.
Something I started doing, because this is something I struggled with the month that I went public with my business. I had a lot of recruits and then I couldn't get people up and running. And I feel like I spent February like retreating back, like, oh no, what did I do? I have all these people on my team now, which is awesome, but it's not going to be awesome if I can't get them launched in their business. So February was like me trying to figure out what to do. And something I started doing with my new people that has been working really well is adding them to the pages, getting them plugged into the bot, telling them that I've added them to these groups, but to really focus on Hope Not Dope, because that is our main focus page, and the bot goes along with the page. It's easy to follow. Once I get them doing that, I get them on a call where I ask them how much time do they have to work their business every day, so I kind of know what I'm dealing with, what their intentions are with their business. Some people are joining my team and they're already like been with another company, and like I don't know what their intentions are, so you don't want to push people into a situation to where you're overwhelming them, where they're going to retreat. So if you can get on a personal phone call with them to ask them, how much time do you have to work the business? Are you going public with your business? Do you work another company? Find out everything about them in particular, because unfortunately, you really just have to customize it to each particular person, because not everybody's coming from the same situation and has the same amount of time to work their business. So groups, chatbot, phone call, get their thing. Then I do a live interview with them. You guys have probably seen, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I'm going live interviewing people basically almost every single day. And what that does, the reason that I do that, I changed it to a live interview form, because so many people, first of all, were scared to go live. They were intimidated by it. So it makes it so much easier if I'm interviewing them, because I give them the questions beforehand so they know what I'm going to ask, so they can prepare themselves for it. Then it's like they don't feel like they're being salesy or spammy to their audience, because I'm interviewing them. It also gives me the capability that when I ask them a question like, oh, why did you decide to become a HempWorks affiliate? And they say something like, because I love to help people, I can come back in and kind of add to that and say, I really love helping people too. You know what else I love about being an affiliate, representing a company that does third-party testing, blah, blah. I could fill in all the information for them without it being salesy and spammy. And then after we do, the last question I ask them on the live is if they have friends or family who are watching that are interested in learning more about CBD or how to get the product, what can they do? And that's where the person I'm interviewing gets to plug, well, I have a website, you can send me a private message, and tomorrow or next week I'm starting my online CBD education class to teach my audience about CBD. So it's kind of like that has been my setup. Groups, chatbot, phone interview with the new person, live interview on Facebook, right into their first CBD class. And those 5 things have been launching people into their business with like no pressure and has been working really well.
Quick question, Rachel. Now, are you doing the CBD class for them, or are you having them do their own CBD class?
I have them do their own. So I have a CBD, the very first class I did as a group, and I keep that up and running. Then I started every month I do a public CBD event, which is all the same content of my group, but it's just every month I'm getting in front of new people who may not have been added to my group. So I just add my new affiliates to my group or to my event, and I just let them kind of take the content and post it themselves using like their own graphics and changing the words around so that they already have a guideline. They're new. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to post. So we have to, it's sharing is caring. We start from the top, and with every new person we pass that knowledge along to them and help them so that they could bring people in and confidently help them as well.
That's so good, Rach.
Thanks.
I think that's brilliant.
Thank you.
I love it, Rachel.
Well, you know what? I'm not brilliant. It took a month of struggling really bad, of being like, something needs to change because I'm never going to go anywhere if I like let this keep happening. I had to get pushed into a corner, and that fight or flight kicks in. And for me, I don't like the whole flight thing. I'm a fighter, and like and going back to what we were talking about earlier, because now like obviously like I'm starting to wake up now, things are starting to go. I've lost my train of thought. As quick as I got excited that I remembered, it flew out of my mind. But what I wanted to say earlier was, Emily started to talk about it and say, like, you can't feel sorry for yourself. You know what I mean? Like that, I go through these phases where I'll feel really strong and really confident about my business for a week or two, and then all of a sudden I like hit a wall where like maybe I didn't get a few sales, or like I didn't have any pre-enrollees, or no one joined my team, and I kind of like go into that panic mode, like, is this it? Is this all that's going to happen? Like, this is my top and that's it? I'm just going to fizzle out right here. And it's very easy for us to fall into that. And what I do now, that when I get into that, is I sit down, I started like journaling, like doing, I either do a journal of like what my goals are for that day, or I do like this morning was starting Monday off with like a grateful mind, writing a list of all the things that I'm grateful for today, and just holding myself accountable. Because here's the thing, if you get down on yourself, it is amazing the kind of like torture we could put ourselves through. We could beat ourselves up more than we could ever beat anybody else up. And it's really easy that once you kind of start to go down that road, how quickly you can find yourself in a scary place. And I'm no better than anybody. It happens to me all the time. And I'm just learning that when instead of feeling sorry for myself and pulling away and retreating, it's like, no, why am I here? What did I give up to be here? What were my goals when I came here to do? It was to go to the top. I'm not going to get to the top sitting here feeling sorry for myself or thinking about the post I didn't post in my class that I was supposed to post or whatever. Like now it's like every day I'm getting up with this intention of being like, what am I doing today for my business? And come the end of the day, if I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do, I can't be mad at myself, because you just have to do it. You just have to do it, and you can't feel bad for yourself, and you can't go to your sideline sisters and complain about it, because it just pulls them down. And then if we're all just pulling each other down, where is this team going to go? It comes down to lifting each other up, that tough love. I am a firm believer of tough love. Like, you're having a down moment, come to me. I'll kick your ass. I'll tell you what you need to do for the day. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, make your list, think of your visions. I think a lot of us have forgotten about vision boards. Like, I'm guilty. My other company that I was with, 6 months into the company, I made a digital vision board. And I'll tell you what, in less than a year, I knocked off every single thing off my vision vision board, a house, a car, financial freedom, trips, traveling, doing different things with my kids. And I haven't done that in 5 years. I was just thinking about the other day, like, I need to make a new vision board that I have to look at every day to remind me why I'm here. We are so lucky to get to be a part of a business that we could work it around everything else in our life. You know, if this isn't the only thing you do and you have a regular job, you know that job, like, takes over your life, and you don't have that the financial freedom and the time freedom that we have doing something like this. Like, we have a gift that was presented to us that we have control over how successful we are. And I hate to say this because it sounds kind of like bitchy or whatever, but like, if your business is failing, it's your own fault. Like, if you don't have the tools that you need, or you feel like you don't have the knowledge, you need to reach out to somebody, because there's always going to be somebody around that could, like, remind you of something. Like, hey, did you try this? Did you do this? Did you do this? A lot of times we just forget those things that we have to do. And if you just reach out instead of just getting down and retreating. I've had so many girls join my team and had one bad day or one bad week, and like, all of a sudden they're gone. And it's like, you would give up your dreams that quick over like one bad day or one bad week. Like, we have the opportunity with this business, this particular company and this particular comp plan, there is endless possibility. Like, you can be a millionaire. Every single one of these faces I'm looking at has the potential to be a millionaire. And that's not me blowing smoke. That's not me blowing smoke, because I don't do that. Like, we have that capability. Like, I need you need to go to bed tonight, and when you put your head on that pillow, you need to know you have the opportunity to become a millionaire with this company this year, like this year.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm done.
That was no, you're good. It was so good. So good. There's a quote that I love from Ann Voskamp that says that the words that you speak become the house your heart lives in. And I think it's really, really important. And we say our language is so self-deprecating. Our language is so defeating. The way that we even talk about and think about, I just don't think I'm ever going to be able to learn this. I don't think my business is ever going to really take off. I have such a hard time with XYZ. You got to rephrase that stuff so that you can start remapping your own mind about who you are and what you're capable of. Because if at the end of the day, you still don't believe that you're capable, or that you will ever, or that it is even possible for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve, you're never going to. You have to change the words that you say so that you can change the way that your mind thinks, which then changes the way that you behave. It is a completely self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you're having a struggle, check your mouth. You might need to take some of the things that you find yourself saying a lot to yourself and reword those, write them down, put them on your mirror, put them as a background on your phone, put them as a background on your computer, and take it one step beyond, I'm struggling right now, and say, I'm learning more every day. Rather than, I don't think I'm ever going to accomplish my dreams, is I am going to see my dreams fulfilled. There's a lot of words there.
It's so good. I love it. And use other people to inspire you. Remember that I wanted to run in front of a car instead of speaking. Like, if somebody who does not want to speak to people that badly can make $1 million in this industry, you can too. So let other people's stories light you up, because we're all the same. If she can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So don't ever think that you can't get to where somebody else has gotten. Let them be proof that you can do it too.
Yes, rather than look at their stories and go, oh, look at everything she's done and everything she has. She must have some magic formula, some magic secret. No, the truth is she's made different decisions. And probably she's had some additional opportunities, but a lot of times it's the decisions that you make and the way that you look out at the world that invite opportunities.
Yep. You have to touch your business every day.
You do.
Every day.
You do. In some way.
Yep. In some way. It doesn't have to be 8 hours a day, just something every single day.
Because here's what's not going to work. 3 days of working really hard, working on your mindset, talking to a ton of people, and then 3 weeks of waiting for that to become something.
It's a long-term game.
That's not how it works. If you are planting a garden, you are going to plant a bunch of seeds and you are going to nourish those and you're going to water them and you're going to take care of them and you are going to keep touching those seeds. You can't just ignore the field because it gets taken over by weeds. It's getting really late.
I know. Thank you guys so much for coming. I think probably this just shows that we need to do more of these.
Yeah, probably.
More question answers, more just hearing, because there's a bunch of other voices and faces that I've seen on here that could have also been pouring in the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll do more of these, hear more from other leaders, because our team is chock filled with amazing people. So chock filled, that's not how you say that.
Chock full.
It's late, y'all. This is when new words come out. So thank you so much, everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Melody. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody who's pouring in and everybody who was vulnerable enough to show up and ask questions. And we're really excited for the future. So yeah, I know Rachel's gonna be hard to go to bed after this one.
We're gonna have to watch a movie or something to like come back down.
Settle down.
All right. So yeah, and even though we talked about being a searcher of your own answers, don't be afraid to ask your upline. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. That's what we're here for. So all right, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much. We'll see you
Bye.
soon.
Have a great night.
Take